everyone, welcome to Crafting in Quarantine. My name is Dabney. I'm the young adult librarian at the Twin Lakes Library System and I use they, them pronouns. For today's video, we are going to be making 2 Halloween crafts. So these are Halloween decorations that you can make at home. And one of the ones that we're going to be doing is we're going to be using perler beads to make these little candy corns, and we're going to use these to make kind of like a decorative hanging. So we're going to do that in the second part of our video. But the first part of our video, we're going to be making kind of like a pumpkin mason jar light, but I'm not using a mason jar, I'm using an old candle jar. So really, whatever jars you've got at home, if you're using a real candle in your jar, you're going to want a glass jar. If you are using a fake candle that has, that runs off of batteries, doesn't have a real flame, then you can put it in a plastic jar. So whatever way you want to do this. And we're going to get started with this. So what you're going to need is your jar. You're going to need some kind of glue. I'm going to be using Mod Podge. And you might need some scissors. You might need a paintbrush for spreading your glue. You're going to need, my cat is getting, ow! Ow! Oh no, sorry, my cat was getting into my craft supplies and decided to scratch me. You're gonna need some orange tissue paper and some Sharpies for coloring. And if, you can do like a remix on this if you want to. For example, you could totally paint your jar instead of, doing the tissue paper, but that's the one I saw online, so that's what I'm gonna do. You could also even do, instead of doing Sharpie, you could like cut out shapes with construction paper for your pumpkin's face, but it's whatever you want to do. Alright, so we're gonna get started, and what I'm gonna do, I've already kind of cut like a nice little piece of tissue paper, and I am going to spread Mod Podge on my jar. And one thing I realized just now is in previous videos I'd been calling this stuff Mod Podge, which is like not the name. So sometimes my brain just reads things wrong and assumes like that I'm correct and I'm not correct. That I was trying to think of something else, like NetGalley. I totally thought was called NetGallery. I don't know. My brain just does weird things sometimes, like that. Alright, so you just want like a nice thin layer of whatever kind of glue you're doing. You don't really want it to be really thick in places, but you do want it evenly distributed. So that's what I'm trying to do now. And, if you think my cat is really getting into things, it is late right now. I'm filming this video very late, and she does not know what to do with this. Okay, so I'm putting some at the top of my jar. You could put some inside if you're going to tuck the paper inside. If you're going to fold it around the bottom, you could put some there. So thankfully, my jar is not really got a curve going on, so hopefully I can just put it on here and it'll be even all the way around. Which I'm going to pick it up and, oh no, my So, once your tissue paper gets wet, it's gonna potentially tear, which is what's happening over on this side of the jar. So I'll show you that in a second. I'm not worried about this being perfect. Because, like the part that tore, I can just put that, facing the wall, and like no one's gonna see it, hopefully. Okay, so that is, where's the tear? There's the tear. I'm not too worried about it. Alright, now what we're going to do is trim the excess paper off. So, let's see. I'm going to start from here and just trim around the bottom of my jar. And I don't know if people still do this, but when I was little, I seem to remember, okay, so like I was not allowed to go trick-or-treating as a kid, but I seem to remember that people would like put like paper bags with kind of like sand at the bottom to weight it down. Oh, and right now I'm just kind of pressing the paper down at the bottom of my jar, and it's tearing a little bit because I'm not being super careful. You can also kind of paint it down a little bit over the tissue paper if you want, if there's, it's not sticking in places. But yeah, I seem to remember that people used to like put paper bags with sand and candles in them, and they put it along their driveways as like a decoration for like trick-or-treaters to know, like, hey, there's candy here. So, if you really had a lot of time, you could make a lot of these jars and do it that way. I always kind of wondered about, like, was it safe to have a candle inside a paper bag? But, alright, we're going to let this dry right now, and then we're going to come back and color our face on here with Sharpie. Again, if you wanted to, you could cut out, like, eyes and mouth and nose or whatever you wanted to do with construction paper and glue that on, too. We're going to do our second craft now, which is making these little candy corns. I am making a total of 9, so I've already got 6 done. So I'm just going to walk you through this. And I have a Pinterest board I created with like some Halloween crafts. So I'm going to share that with the video so you all can find this perler bead design in there and find some other kind of simple craft ideas. So what you're doing is you're just going to make it like this. So you'll just need white, orange, and yellow beads. And this is such an easy design to make. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to trick or treat, so I always feel kind of sad that I missed out on that as a kid, and I think that's partly why, like, I get so into Halloween now, because we didn't really celebrate it growing up, and I just think it's a fun holiday. Like, I like, putting up decorations, more at the library instead of like at my house. I don't really decorate that much here, but watching like classic Halloween movies, like Abby, she talked about those in her Friday video, so you should definitely check that out. I think she talked about Hocus Pocus and The Corpse Bride. And there was one other one, and I can't remember what it is now. off the top of my head. But like, she talked about those movies, and you know, I personally really like Nightmare Before Christmas, and I like Coraline, even though that's not really specifically a Halloween movie. And I like all the snacks and the candy, and you know, I don't know if I said costumes already, but costumes, and yeah, it's a good time. And alright, now we're gonna add our last layer. So right here, I'll just show you really quick. Just kind of do a close-up. So, like, you know, you do 3 and then 2, and then we're going to do the yellow, which I'll bring that back up in just a second to show you because it's a little bit different. I also really like candy corn. I am one of those people who likes it, and I like those little pumpkins, but I can't actually eat that anymore. It's like not vegan or vegetarian. Okay, so right up there you see how like the yellow kind of like goes in on both sides. Oh no. So yeah, that's different. Yeah, I think like candy corn has like gelatin in it, so I don't eat it anymore, but that's okay. There's always lots of other candies you can eat. And I always like making like Halloween cupcakes and decorating them. You know, it's really fun. But this year, of course, is different, I think, for everyone. Like, I'm not doing anything for Halloween. I might, you know, watch a movie or something, maybe. Maybe I'll finally watch the last season of Sabrina or Lucifer. I'm behind in both of those shows. And I feel like especially Sabrina will, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, that you definitely get some good spooky vibes. Alright, so I put my wax paper on. We're going to iron it. Again, my iron is set to the highest temperature setting. And I'm just pressing down until all of the perler beads are like thoroughly melted together and there's not any holes visible. I kind of messed one of them up, but you know what? Candy corn, if you've ever looked at a bag of candy corn, there's usually some messed up pieces in there. And wow, I really did mess these up. I don't know. It's actually midnight right now when I'm filming this, so could be why. Could just be. Alright, so we're going to let this cool off, and then we're going to finish that. So we're going to segue back into our candle jars. And, you know, I hate to be that basic person, but I am going to make a very basic jack-o'-lantern face. So you could make whatever you want. And I think that's where maybe an advantage of doing like the construction paper features might help, because like if you mess up with Sharpie on this, you know, it might be redeemable, but it's probably not going to be. So if you do it with construction paper, you know, you can have more chances to get it looking exactly right. You know, you could also probably print out some templates for like, you know, actual jack-o'-lantern designs. Like, I'll have some link to this video, and you might be able to like size it down like small to fit on a jar and cut those out, like, and use those designs as a stencil on your jar. And that would be really cool. So I might do that on like the other side. So there we've got our eyes. And now I'm just gonna do a little smiley face. I saw my niece and nephew recently, and you know, they're all into like the Halloween spirit. And I drew like a little pumpkin for my niece that was like an angry pumpkin face. But I think I'm more into like the goofy and fun and silly, fluffy Halloween vibes. I do not like horror. And I don't like scary stuff. I think the only horror that I liked was a while ago they had the TV show The Exorcist, which I don't really recommend for teens, but it was a lot for me, honestly. I got very scared. I think I watched it by myself too. But I really enjoyed all the actors, and I enjoyed the plot a whole lot, so I could definitely put up with like the scary horror bits for that. And it's actually really good, in my opinion. I've never seen the Exorcist movies because, like I said, I'm a scaredy cat and I can't handle that. Alright, that is my very basic pumpkin face. And we're gonna light it up with our tea light. This is exciting. I can light candles in my videos. You know, you can't really light candles in the library. I mean, you could, but okay, very carefully drop that in and position it in the middle of my jar. Oh, spooky. Okay, I'm gonna set that aside. Now, back to our candy corns. Like I said, I don't know what I did to mess these two up so badly, but you know what, on this side, they don't look too bad. We're just gonna say that we're keeping it to the, you know, the realness factor. Okay, so I also have this twine that I'm gonna use. So what you could do is there are like 5 beads at the top, and what you could do is you could, you know, I use an X-Acto knife, and you could, you know, cut a hole in the middle one, and then get like a little, I can't with my words right now, circular metal clasp thing to go through here, and then like string this like beads. But I just want to hot glue mine. So let's see. I'm gonna hot glue. I'm trying to get them all spaced out pretty evenly. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my hot glue gun, yank it over here, and I'm going to glue it to this side. So I'm going to squeeze some hot glue on there, and we'll see how this works. I'm going to press this twine onto here. It's burning me, so maybe, you know, if you do this, try to get multiple people to help you. I don't mind being burned by hot glue, it's fine. So there, we've got it like that. It's glued on the back. So yeah, I do think maybe if you string these, obviously you're not going to have to worry about burning yourself with hot glue, which is a perk. And you can also probably adjust, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You know, the width apart, because right now I'm just kind of like eyeballing it and hoping I'm getting it right. But if you did it the other way, they're a little bit more like adjustable. So, trying to do this without getting hot glue all over the place. We'll just move these out of the way. And I might cut the video short without finishing gluing all these because it's already at like 21 minutes on this video. I was like, this will be a short video. These are real easy crafts, but things always take longer than I think when I start recording. I don't know why. Okay, so that is the start, and then, you know, gonna glue the rest of them and then hang it probably over my window because I do have some other Halloween decorations up right now. But there we go. So we've got our like jack-o'-lantern jar and our candy corn hanging. I don't know what you call this thing, bunting something. And of course, you know, like if you don't have perler beads, there's a really easy way to do this, which is you could cut out, you know, do colored construction paper for these. You could do regular paper and color it, you know. Don't have to do perler beads. Perler beads are just fun, and I like to, you know, of course, always make perler bead crafts. Yeah, that is it for today, and I will see you all next time. Bye.